All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us, talking about Tin Pan South, the festival, and 27th annual, 400 songwriters, 100 shows at 10 of Nashville's top music venues. Yeah. This guy's been with them from the, well, almost beginning.
Yeah,
right?
well, I came in the 6th season of Tin Pan South 21 years ago, and it's grown and narrowed.
It's just, yeah, it's
you know
incredible.
what I love most about it? It's just, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's just, everybody thinks it's hip, and it is.
Yep, it is.
And it celebrates, really, I think what Nashville's a reflection of, all genres of music. I mean, this is the home of country music, and we love that, but you never know.
Yeah,
I would give you a tip. If it says, and special guest, you might want to go to that show.
Yes, you go to that, because you never know what, a lot of the artists
pulled a few of those out of the hat.
Yeah, I bet, right?
Like, whoa, look who Kyle just brought up. You know?
All right, well, we also have Kyle, quote, Kevin Jacobs.
Kyle.
I know it's Kyle. If you were with us last segment, you know, it's unusual that, yeah, Garth
dubbed me.
Dubbed you.
You were dubbed.
As Kevin Jacobs.
So now, by the way, Kyle, you, all right, country, but you do other genres?
I do.
Okay, so yeah, talk about some of the other songs that you've written, or other genre, and how you go about that.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny. The first song I ever got cut was a song called Eighth World Wonder, and it was cut by Kimberly Locke. Okay. And it ended up turning out to be a really big pop song. And at the time, I was painting houses and doing every job I possibly could just to pay the bills. Yeah. And it's funny because I wrote the song. I'm like, after the song was done, I'm like, I don't think I like this song. And then all of a sudden, Mike Curb heard it. Kimberly Locke had just come off American Idol, and he said, all right, this is going to be her first single. And they produced it in a way where it's like, whoa, this is really, I think this is going to work. Yep. And so it got up to 7 on the pop charts, and ended up really helping me out. And I got a paintbrush out of my hand and put a guitar into my
There you go. How cool is that? Yeah. And that's the thing. I think some of the people that attend these things are aspiring songwriters themselves, of course. And you hear about his story, and he was painting, and so many people have that image, and there's so many aspiring songwriters, right? And you would probably be the first to admit that there's a lot of talent there, but there's got to be some luck, right?
Well, yes, I agree.
I mean, to some degree, not to say that you're making it without, the talent's there, but how many talented people never get discovered?
Well, my projection is that right now, there are 80,000 people in the Middle Tennessee area that want to make it in the music industry, and a lot of those songwriters. Now look, if we're truthful, probably 8,000 have the talent and the wherewithal. And then you narrow it down. This has always been a town where you sort of come up with your class. You find your tribe, you found your tribe, and you come up, and one gets success and the other, and everybody, you know, the boat rises with that. But it's tough, and it's especially tough in the digital era. I estimate that we've gone from about 4,000 songwriters earning a living on current song activity to in the hundreds. I think it went down to about 400. It's back up now. It has rebounded. Nashville's had a real resurgence over the last 3 or 4 years, but it's always been hard.
What do you attribute the resurgence to, and did it drop down just because of the digital age and the way things
First it was piracy.
Yeah, right.
It was piracy. I mean, it's hard to fight free. We were around 40 record companies. We now have 6. Singles were out every 3 months. He had a chance, and one of the things too was album sales. Most of the songwriters, we were talking about our great president Steve Bogart. He's had 3 or 4, 5, 6 #1s, maybe 10.
He's had 10.
But it would be, he would tell you he made his yearly income on album cuts. You don't make any money on album cuts anymore. There aren't album cuts. So you lose money if you're a record label on albums. So that was one reason. Piracy. And then the streaming era, we finally changed some laws last year. We passed something called the Music Modernization Act.
People think you're faced with this because you come on shows to promote it. What you spend most of your time on is Capitol Hill, pushing for legislation.
Advocacy. And I want to thank Kyle, I want to thank Kelly too. Every time I've called on them to be there to raise money, Kyle took a couple years off and served on our board, and that's not easy when you're a working songwriter, especially when you're a producer, so thank you, my friend, for that.
Yes, sir.
We pushed that for 15 years. I'll give you a short synopsis because it's like an onion. There's so many layers. Songwriters get 2 royalties. A mechanical royalty, and it's called a mechanical because it was under a law from 1909 to govern mechanical player piano rolls.
No.
Jeez.
1909, you said? So,
1909.
and you're talking about this mechanical
player piano rolls. And that was typically your sales royalty. If an album sold, an 8-track tape, whatever it was in the day. Then there's a performance royalty wherever your song is performed, whether it be on television,
in a restaurant,
bar, on a stage, a bar, streamed, radio.
Right.
Now today, in the modern era, they're blended because there's elements of both when you pay your $9.99 a month for your subscription. So we had to change how those laws work, because what we wanted is the government to get completely out of our business. We don't want the government setting our rates, but we had to find something every party would agree on, and there was not going to be agreement on that. So we changed the way they got set. Now, in the digital era, record labels at one point got 1,700% more than songwriter. And look, there's an argument to be made. I'm the director of the Nashville Songwriters Association. I argue the song is worth 99.99%. But the one area, which is commercial placement, synchronization, film, TV, commercials, where he can negotiate, it's 50-50.
Okay.
The song gets half, the recording of the song gets half. So we wanted judges that set both the mechanical and performance rates to look at that, to look at what the market would do. And that's what we accomplished in the music modernization.
That was a huge thing.
It was the biggest thing for songwriters in 100 years. Like, it doesn't solve it all. He's not going to see, 50 times the money in his check. I do this kind of visual. It went down narrower and slowly down. Now, the next 5 years, with some rate increases we've already got, it's going to go up pretty big. Okay. Then it's going to level out. But for the rest of Kyle's life, this will be that.
Okay,
and that's what the Music Modernization Act did. It'll grow and grow and grow and grow over time.
Okay, and by all measures, they would say at this point in your career, a successful songwriting career for you. But and so you're probably going to see the increases. But for those who maybe have more modest success than his, they're going to be able maybe to get by, right? So this will foster other artists that maybe haven't reached your level of success yet.
Sure. Yeah. As any kind of growth is going to be good. Because they're just, from the heart. I've seen incredibly beautifully talented people that can't afford it. They can't afford being in town, chasing a dream that they've had their whole life.
Right.
And because of streaming and stuff like that, that's a big reason why. And they they could have got that album cut. They could have maybe got that single. Even if they did get that single, they might not be being paid the way they should. And they work hard. It's thousands and thousands of hours just to hope for one song.
I know. I know. You put all that.
Well, I'll add this. You spend the first 10 or 15 years of your songwriter journey spending money. You don't make any money. You come from a town somewhere, you move here or you move to Los Angeles. You pay for demos, you park cars. Kyle already said I worked 1,000 different jobs. Those are honorable professions. But there was a time when it was much quicker. And there were many, many more opportunities. In the streaming era, when we started to introduce this legislation, 6 years ago, I believe it was, we did an event in DC. We brought 5 songwriters that you wouldn't know, but you know their songs. Living on a Prayer, You're Gonna Miss This. And typically songs are co-written. And typically you have a publisher. So with 2 writers, he would own a quarter, 25% of that song. For 35 million streams at that event, his royalty was $185.
For 35 million streams.
And that's what we had to fix.
Do you think one reason that happened, that, I know you write songs, I don't know how much that has changed the way you do that, but the way it's distributed with streaming, did the industry, the songwriters, you guys get caught a little bit by surprise by just how fast technology took over?
Absolutely not, for this reason. We are surprised by technology. I continue to be surprised. I'm waiting for the chip that just beams it into my neck. But we've been trying to change those 2 laws since they passed.
So it wasn't something, I was just wondering, because it's caught us in this media business with what's happening a little off guard.
Look, history shows, and I did a sort of a personal mental study of this, that every time there's a new way to distribute creativity, it takes a few decades for the regulatory and legal part of that to catch up. You're dealing with, and look, I am proud the government helped us, but why is the government in our business still?
Right.
That's the problem.
I hear you.
The marketplace is always, Nick, going to respond better than the government will.
Yep.
And so
that's what the market will bear.
So that's why the Music Modernization Act was part of it, but we're not done yet. We've got to keep chipping away.
Yes. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of our conversation on that, more stories about songwriting behind the scenes and what else is going on during Tin Pan South, which is a pretty cool thing. We'll be right back with more right after this. Napster.